fun with this group.
And finally, the loving face lick.
It's great how he just gets in there and, well, licks.
Fantastic. But really, the best way to know an amazing shelter pet like Satchmo is to meet one.
Visit theshelterpetproject.org today. Adopt.
Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Lion Tales, powered by the Nassau Community College Foundation, on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm your host, Dr. Linda Nadian, along with Aurora Workman, and our guest today is Mindy Wolfle, an entrepreneur who spent 18 years working in the Nassau County Department of Social Services. So, getting back to some of the things we were speaking about before, what was your role with the Nassau County's Department of Social Services?
Well, when I started, the title was called Caseworker Aid, and I want to give a shout out to my friend Bob Sherman. He and I started the same day, and it should be noted that Bob ended up as the commissioner.
Hey, Bob.
So he's retired now. And then the job titles changed to Social Welfare Examiner, and I became a Social Welfare Examiner 1, 2, and then a Social Welfare Examiner supervisor. And I left before I decided to go to the assistant director level.
Wow.
And I worked in, as I said, the public assistance division for a long time, new certification, taking new applications, very intense for people to establish their eligibility. Mm-hmm.
And then did
so many stories.
those humanitarian efforts grow from, exposure to the critical needs of Nassau County residents?
Yes, most certainly. In my LinkedIn profile, which I understand is how I was found for this show. How wonderful. Everybody needs to be on LinkedIn. On my LinkedIn profile, on my bio, it says something to the effect of the Nassau County Department of Social Services where I fostered my concern for the places where we live and work. Yeah. And where we live and work is Nassau County and Long Island as a whole. If
we sort of have a comparison between that Vietnam era when you were here as a student and the needs of the Nassau County residents at that time, and now we're looking at, 2018 and it's almost 2020. Mm-hmm. So much time has gone by the last, decade, 2 decades of the 21st century. Are the needs the same? What are we looking at?
I think the needs are same. There's been a population shift, but people are still poor. Yeah. People are still substance abusers. Right. Children are still being born to parents who don't want them. Yeah. Children are still being raised by grandparents and great-grandparents. There is a critical need for compassion and humanism, and we may live in one of the richest counties in the country, but we have the same problems as big cities.
Yeah,
I do. Do you write about it, as a blogger? Do you write about any of the Nassau County's environment and social issues? Do you?
Well, I'm sure that my Facebook posts often say things that have to do with helping people.
When I hit you up as a friend, please accept.
I certainly will. My blog posts more recently have been from my articles that I wrote for Long Islander News, but I'm not writing for them anymore. So, Aurora, you've given me a great idea for what my next posts need to be, and I need to get back to my do-gooder roots. I do some pro bono work. I do pro bono work for the Inn. I edit their newsletter. And I've done pro bono work for the Long Island Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. I've done writing for them. And over the years, I've been involved with a lot of not-for-profits, Adelphi Statewide Breast Cancer Hotline, and others.
And don't forget to tell us about coming to Long Island as a 5th grader.
Oh, okay.
Tell us what that was like.
I can't claim lifelong Long Island residency, although I was born in Brooklyn, and some Brooklynites like to think that's Long Island.
No,
I
it is not.
Don't. We lived in Rutland, Vermont.
You can get an apartment for $6,000 in Brooklyn today.
Yeah, right.
And no parking.
We lived in Rutland, Vermont, and then we lived in Utica, New York, and Rochester, New York. this was through my father's employment, and we moved to Hicksville in 1961.
Wow.
And that's so Long Island really is where
Was
my
Sears
roots
there
are.
in 61?
Excuse me?
Was Sears there in 61?
I worked at Sears. That's where I worked while
Yeah,
I went to
that's-
Nassau Community, besides washing test tubes here. Yeah, I worked
my
at Sears
first
from
job
high
at
school
Sears.
Yeah.
all the
I
way
love
through
Sears.
Nassau.
Yeah.
Well, Sears in Hicksville's
I
gone.
know.
Yeah,
They're
just-
using it as the parking lot for as the train gets remodeled. It's
You know,
very
it was
sad.
amazing because I worked at Sears, but I worked in Farmingdale because I ordered all the furniture for all 7 Sears stores on Long
kidding.
Island. That was my first job. People was like, "You did
wow.
what?" I said, "Yes, I ordered all the furniture."
That's so
for
fun.
all
I worked in the
Sears."
housewares department in store 1264. I still remember that. My starting salary was 112 and a half an hour or something crazy like
Something
that.
like that. Yeah, probably $3.35 an hour. I made $3.35 an hour in 1985.
Oh,
at
that was a
Food Town.
lot back in
I was rich. I had more
1970.
money then. When you make less, you have more money.
It's amazing too because a lot of people and a lot of our listeners are probably just visualizing these places that
Yeah.
we have, and it's the same. The Sears store just closed,
Yeah,
and we
too
were
bad.
we were out there watching them remove this huge map of Long Island. It was
yeah.
like
They
put it
really
somewhere.
ceremonious. It
Yeah.
was, and they took it somewhere, but it was really ceremonious how they were taking this apart. It was built in tiles.
It's like
on-
knocking down the Berlin Wall,
Yeah,
and it was
yeah.
Sears.
And it
They
was like,
relocated it now.
I always thought it was Sears property, but it was someone had made that, and Sears built around it as part of their decor for.
I think
Long
it's
Island.
exciting too. It's incredible to see how we come from a generation where we worked and we went to school.
Oh, I had to.
You did. We worked.
I had
We-
no other way.
Yeah, there was, but it was something that we did. I think kids nowadays they just either go to school or work.
No, I would have been way too bored doing that anyhow, and I needed the money.
You are listening to Lion Tales to the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. My name is Aurora Workman, along with Dr. Linda Nadian, and our guest today is Mindy Wolfle, businesswoman, writer, and humanitarian. Now, I want to just get, as we're winding up, I want to get into some of your entrepreneurship things. Now, the networking. Tell us, Neptune Networking, is that yours? Is that...
Neptune Marketing is the business I started in 2005, and the entire business was built upon relationships that I made through networking. The first organization I belonged to was the Long Island Center for Business and Professional Women, and I belonged to quite a few other organizations since then. I no longer call it networking. I refuse to use that term anymore. It is relationship building. It's not about collecting business cards. It's about building relationships. And what I've found, and I've written about this, is you do business with people you like.
Yeah.
True.
And how are you going to like somebody unless you really get to know them?
Right.
And you went on to teach. Tell us about your teaching.
Oh, I loved that. I never pictured myself teaching, and in a way, I kind of think I missed my calling. But I had the opportunity at Hofstra to work in the continuing education department, and the students in continuing ed are largely adults. Probably 99% are people with careers, and lifelong learning is, as we know, extremely important. And Debbie Honoroff, who recently retired from Hofstra, she provided me with that opportunity. And I first started teaching business writing for non-writers. People are not good writers, and they are afraid of writing. And I covered everything from the basics of grammar and punctuation, and I gave people assignments. And because in order to write, you have to write. And then we added to my curriculum not-for-profit marketing, communications, and public relations, and that was a certificate program, which still exists.
Okay.
And I handled the marketing part of that certificate program, teaching people about marketing.
Well, that's wonderful. I want to talk to the students, and I want you to talk to the students. Your favorite quote is attributed to the late playwright Wendy Wasserman, and it says, "Don't live down to expectations. Go out and do something remarkable." And I heard that, and I said, Talk to the students. Explain that.
Well, I think we all tend to rest on our laurels and stay in a comfort zone. And I think what Wendy was saying, and boy, do we miss her because she was so brilliant and so funny. You got to go out there and do something. Don't wait. You can never wait for it to come to you. If you want to use the word networking, nothing comes to you because you figure somebody's going to come over to you at a meeting or somebody's going to come over to you in class and make an opportunity for you. That will never happen. You have to make your own opportunities. Whoever thought I would be a marketing professional? I made my own opportunities. I went to seminars. I belonged to organizations where I learned from people who knew a lot more than me.
And that's what students have to learn today, to really just go out but you had to get some education first. So don't you just run out and drop your books now.
Education is invaluable.
It's valuable.
Absolutely.
If you can't speak well, if you can't write well, then that's what you have to go after. You have to go after improving your skill set and speaking to the right people who can guide you and mentor you. Mentoring relationships are at the top of my chart of important things to do.
Right. Education is the key.
And what would you say is one of the most important lessons that you've learned over the years?
Well, that's a tough question, huh? Don't you want to ask me what the school colors are? Okay, I'll tell you what the most important lessons are. You have to give to receive. Yes. And just like I said a moment ago, nothing comes to you. You have to go for it, but you have to do something to earn it. People do business with people they like and follow through on your promises. Follow through is absolutely critical to being a successful person. You can't let people down. It's okay to say, I can't.
Right.
That's another important thing to know. You can't say yes to everything because you end up being resentful, or you overextend yourself, or you say you can do something that you have no idea how to do.
Right.
That's true.
So, Linda, give Mindy one of our Nassau Community College questions. Let's see how well she knows it.
All right, let's see. So, the school mascot
is Leo the lion, which is also my zodiac sign.
Oh, so that's August's birthday. Okay, and the school colors are
blue and orange, just like Nassau County.
Yes.
And what was the name of the restaurant that was on campus that had a great condiments bar? Do you remember?
I do not, because I am certain there was no condiment bar when I was here. But I can tell you that in the cafeteria, where, as you know, I spent an inordinate amount of time, we would order GCB with WDFF.
And that is?
Greasy cheeseburger with well-done French fries.
Oh, I wish I could eat that now.
Since 1980, I don't eat meat, so I can't order that anymore.
Oh, no. Veggie burgers all the way.
We'd like to thank our guest, Mindy Wolfle, founder of Neptune Marketing and a proud alumni of Nassau Community College. Can you tell our audience how to contact you?
The best way to reach me is by email, mindymktg@yahoo.com, and the MKTG stands for marketing.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you both.
Yes.
Linda and Aurora, this has been a real pleasure.
We want to thank you for being with us. My name is Dr. Linda Nadian, along with my fabulous friend, Aurora Workman, president of the Nassau Community College Alumni Association. The creative director of Lion Tales is Rudy J. Breedy. This show is a production of the Nassau Community College Alumni Association. Visit nassaucommunitycollege.edu/WHPC for more information. Available as a podcast on iTunes, Android Podcasts, and Spreaker. Lion Tales is powered by the Nassau Community College Foundation on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.